All right, here's a bombshell for you. We just might prefer the world which emerges from all this. That's a possibility which exists. It's certainly not possible to discount, considering the fact that no one knows what's about to happen next. I know many fear the worst. I sympathize with them. I'm tense too. But I'm hopeful that having a common enemy, such as a virus, makes us eventually forget about the enemies we have among each other. Or at the very least, learn to work together with gritted teeth. This pandemic forces many of us into a form of quasi-hibernation from all that we knew of our former lives. Looking through the keyhole of our door is not a very clear view. It's okay to be inside right now. But remember that there are limitations in perception from this little vantage point, and you are not above their darker influence. There is always more to every story. In our seclusion, things look different, distorted even. Try to account for that. But these limitations can also have extreme personal value, so long as we recognize that they exist and acknowledge that they are impacting our experience. Make good use of your quarantine is the long and short of it. Think of it this way. Certain religious orders among Catholic nuns and priests cloister themselves away, meaning they renounce the outside world and their relationships with other people for the purpose of a life of introspection and prayer. This choice is made for various reasons, not all of them good, but most of them are attempting to tap into a particular type of contemplative experience which can only occur under particularly controlled circumstances. Circumstances such as a cloistered environment with very strict rules like a monastery or a convent and no outside contact. Some also choose a vow of silence and have gone for years or even the rest of their lives without speaking a word aloud to anyone, even God. What is the purpose of those practices? We can dismiss them and say they're just weirdos. Somehow that isn't a very satisfying approach. What calls to a person to do this? Are they always glad they made their choice? Why do they do it? When they love it, what does it feel like? And when they hate it, what gets them through it? I wouldn't mind knowing those secrets just for my regular daily life. As a contemplative person myself, I've spent time in monasteries, and I've learned of real hermits who close themselves even farther off into the woods and see no one at all. Even a skeptic could assume that some are doing this for genuinely spiritual reasons. What might they be? It seems to be quite an extreme choice to make for a member of such a social species. In my own time of cloistered contemplation, which admittedly was only for days at a time rather than weeks or years, I found it took quite a while for the outside chatter to quiet down. Even when I thought I had quieted my mind, I'd realized the next day how much louder it was than I realized. The longer I spent following the basic daily routine of food, work, and prayer, the quieter I inwardly became. My thoughts began to spin less and problem solve less. That was a bigger relief than I would have imagined. And that's when I could really start to hear myself and begin to tell the difference between what my heart was saying versus the voices of all those who would persuade me otherwise. My heart was actually far more loving than I had given it credit. And though these were short experiences, they gave me a frame of reference to understand why it is sometimes valuable to close off, to shut down, to end the flow of information or at least limit its intake, and give time for the layers to peel back so that we may eventually glimpse our own truth, free of the truths of others. Now, what if the whole world suddenly had to do that for some reason? Who could imagine such a thing? I bet some would really lose it. I bet some wouldn't even notice it. And some would love it. But they still might miss the opportunity of enhancing the experience for their own betterment. some just might learn what happens when we close ourselves off on purpose for the benefit of all humanity. Because that's another reason why many choose a cloistered contemplative life: to pray for the earth, to pray for humanity, to pray for peace on the planet. And there's a lot of them that do it. Do they hold some of the balance of love and compassion on this planet together? Through their prayer, are they providing this planet a service which is helping to ease our current experience from what it might have otherwise been? There's no way to know for sure. But many cultures seem to have a version of this style of prayerful intervention. I know it appears superstitious on some levels, but we also know there's some physics behind how these things work as well. Even if it's just in my own imagination, it comforts me to think it could be worse, and I'm grateful it isn't. I always try to find a mental path where I end up at gratitude. Because gratitude is the root core of contemplative life. It's the ongoing practice of learning how to drop into the center of gratitude throughout every waking moment of one's day, projecting into the universe only a presence of gratitude. The act of giving thanks laces our brains with a positive chemical overlay, including dopamine and serotonin, which tweaks and amplifies our ability to be of service to others, either literally, energetically, or hopefully both. It feels good to do good. This is where we learn about and come to understand our own truest preferences. As well, this is where we have the least outside interference with whatever inner power it is we each have to pray or commune with the divine. Gratitude clears the channels. A contemplative life helps us get there and amplifies what's being sent in prayer. How are you doing with this era of shutdowns, stay-at-home orders, social distancing, and quarantine? How do these precautions make you feel? Do you feel trapped by them? It would be understandable. It's easy to see by just how upset the subject can make people. Read between the lines on that. Pray for them. And now, what if you chose to reframe this experience for your own personal comfort? We are clever enough that we can frame our way of thought in any way we choose. What if you chose to frame it as a contemplative experience? A once-in-a-lifetime one at that. What if you chose to see the difficulty in it and accept it as part of the wider experience? When you lift weights at the gym, you know it's going to be heavy. You stretch a bit first beforehand and mentally prepare yourself to pick them up several times in a row. You will be sweating and sore by the end. And yet, you still choose to do it because you know it's going to benefit you. When I shovel snow, I stretch first, lift with my knees, and treat it like leg day at the gym. Framing the experience this way helps me get more out of it, and it upsets me less. Think of this pandemic in that way, and you will be the most likely to reap the most benefit from it with the most ease possible. P.S. That's the secret to life. So many things are changing that it makes all possibilities, even the ones we once found impossible to imagine, to be suddenly worth considering again. Even though our hearts are in our throats, this roller coaster will have its benefits. We are not where we used to be 100 years ago, and we will make good things from this time. No matter what side of the conflict you're on, we all have a preference for a future which includes our peace and ease. Let that be the idea which unites us. Do your part to help the planet by being at peace yourself. Be a part of the better world which might come from this. Choose to be at ease. It is, of course, easier said than done, but it is a choice just the same. Inner peace is not given to us. We make it ourselves from scratch. Let that be the bell you ring right now. It will help define the experience to come. Be at ease now. Gently settle yourself into a comfortable position and breathe deeply into it. Send your breath into the spots where your body comes into contact with the seat beneath and behind you. Imagine the seat greeting your body and your body greeting the seat. Allow them to blend with one another and breathe. Picture in your lap a large jar. It is sturdy, with a thick lid and a latch with a small lock fastening it shut. A small golden key emerges from the lock. The jar itself is made of fired clay and has been covered with painted designs which seem to move when looked at directly. But it is just a trick of the eye, perhaps. You have waited for this moment for a long time. You have waited to open this jar. You have lain awake for many nights considering how you might obtain the key. Until now you have not had it. The key has called to you, begging you to rescue it. And now it has been reunited with its lock and waits only for you to turn it. Here you pause. A flood of emotions overwhelms you. But you know what you will do. You will open the jar. On some levels you feel you must not. But once having made the final decision, you feel remarkably at peace, suddenly lighter, recognizing that this was always your purpose, as if the test all along was to risk the danger of finally deciding. Once decided, the action was easy. And breathe. You turn the key and open the lid. But something seems wrong. Your inner ease disappears for a brief second as a hot, stale wind flashes past you, but then gone. You momentarily regret what you've done as a quick despair washes over you. But it is an illusion. It is a symptom of relief. Fear not. Be at ease. And breathe. You have fulfilled your purpose, and it is good. All is not as it appears. You look down into the jar. In the bottom, off to the side. And there you see a small slip of paper, tightly rolled up as if prepared to one day be read. Carefully unrolling the paper, you see the words delicately written, "All shall be well." Is there benevolence here? Yes. Is there purpose here? Yes. Are we loved? Yes. Breathe in gratitude. Exhale relief. Breathe in gratitude. Exhale courage. Breathe in gratitude. Exhale hope. Namaste.